Hi class. Okay, we're going to move forward on week 3 here and really mash things up with writing an action script to create what I call a painting machine. Actually, Diane Verter, and I'll put a link out to her site, was the first, maybe not the first to coin it, but she has worked with this idea of programming action scripts into Photoshop to really mash up pictures to create very abstract, large pieces, 40 by 60 inches, that are shown nationally. And she was a guest lecturer by email to the class, this class, Intro to Computer Art, a couple of years ago. So this is a project that she does, and we started doing it too. This takes the idea of filters and mashing up a regular picture to the nth degree here. So just to prove how crazy we're going to go with this, what we're going to do is take this straight portrait of Obama again, and I'm going to turn it into a very abstract painting. So without further ado, we want to be able to do this to a series of separate pictures also. In other words, not just to do one, but we're going to create a script so that when we push a button, in our case F2, it'll take any picture and turn it into a whole new different mashed up painting with running several different filters and operations on it, all with the press of one button. Such is the power of Photoshop. So without further ado, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you on this little play button is a flyout menu for actions. And what an action does is when we hit the record button is it records all our screen movements and all the tools that we use. And then when we're done mashing up our picture, we'll hit the stop button, and anytime you hit the play button on that particular action, it'll apply all those different filters in the same sequence. So I'm going to get started and show you what's up here. So I'm going to hit the record, let's see, fly out, oops, sorry, action, history, oops. Let me throw out window here, actions, and I should have a button that's going to be file new action, not a set but a new action. Okay, that's this button now. It's changed a little bit in this version of CS3, and that's the new layer button, but it's actually a new action button. So I'm going to call it Painting Machine. Okay, and function key I'm going to set to F2. That means every time I hit F2 it'll play this action. Hit the record button here. Great. Now let's minimize this so it's not in the way. And here we go. First step is I want to turn this into a square. So I'm taking the crop tool, third one on the left, and pulling and dragging, holding the shift key down, and that makes a perfect square. Okay, actually I'll put his eyes in the middle here, roughly, and hit enter. Okay, that's the first action recorded. Next I want to copy this layer, so I'm going to say Control J, and if you look at the layers palette you'll see there's two layers now. Let's see if I can move this away just enough so you can keep an eye on it. No, it wants to live out here. I'm having to work on a really tiny screen for Photoshop. So I'll tell you when I'm making a new layer. I'm just going to hide this again so you can see what I'm doing. So there's two layers, one on top of the other. And yeah, I kind of need to see my layers though, because in the layers there are things called blend modes here. So you drop down. Think of a layer as a sheet of clear acetate laid over other sheets of acetate all stacked up, and each layer is opaque unless you blend it with the layer below, and that's what these blend modes do. And before I blend the first and the second, I want to change it. So I'll hide this again. I'll just have to keep opening it each time. So I'm going to say filter, artistic, cutout, and that creates a pretty instant silk screen too in its own way. Notice the dialog box opens and there's lots of different things that I could do. See the after, and this is the before here. After. Before, after. That's kind of cool. And just to see, I'm going to blend that layer into the one below it using, we can try difference and see what happens there. Nothing, because they canceled each other out. So I'm going to go back to normal, and what I want to do is move this. Hide that again. So let's edit, transform, rotate 90 clockwise. Okay, and now I'll go to blend mode and see what difference will do, or I can use my arrow key and blend, scroll through some of these changes just to see what laying one layer on top of the other is going to do. Okay, I'm going to leave it there, and that's darker color. Okay, and then I'm going to layer flatten image. You could write down these when you play this movie again if you want. There's no one magic formula here. I'm just mashing, meaning I'm creating a new layer, I'm distorting it, I'm rotating it, I'm blending it, I'm flattening it, basically over and over again. So I'm going to flatten this. The shortcut to that is Control E, and then I'm going to Control J this, copy that new layer, so there's a new layer again, and this time let's do a distortion on it. So filter, distort, and how about shear? And what shear does is it'll pull the picture way over and really kind of mess with it here. I can add points and create an S-curve to this, and I'll just say OK. And once again, let's see, use a blend mode, normal. I'll start with difference. It tends to be very dark, but I can lighten it up too. But I'll just scroll through these again to see what appeals to me or not. Okay, I think I'll go with lighter color. And flatten it, Control E. Paste, copy the layer, Control J. I have a new layer again. I'm going to rotate it again, image, not rotate canvas, it's edit, transform, rotate, and I'm going to go 90 degrees again. I could just dial in an amount right here in this upper dialog box, 90, enter, twice, and let's blend that with the one below. Starting with dissolve, and I'll just go down the list here. Darken looks good again. Color burn is kind of interesting. Darker color. Lighten screen. I think I'll stay with this overlay now. See, I'm totally going randomly here. Think of this as a sandbox with a bunch of toys in it, and we're just picking up toys at random and making decisions as we go along. Let me flatten this down, copy the layer again. You can see pretty quickly how writing an action script might help in the long run if you were going to try this on a bunch of different pictures. Okay. All right, let me do one more cutout. Filter, artistic, cutout. You're supposed to have fun with this, and you will have fun. Once you get over being afraid of the program, you can't hurt anything. And okay, now we've got that. I'm going to rotate it 90 again. So that's edit, transform, rotate 90, or I could rotate a fixed amount. And then let's look at layers, blend modes again. So as I said, the blend mode determines how the layer on top interacts with the one beneath, and whether I want to keep elements of the original face in there or obliterate it completely. It's okay if it gets darker than I want, because I can, like even in this difference one now, I'm gonna leave the difference. See how dark it got, but Control E to flatten it, and then Control L, or image adjustment levels, to work with levels in order to lighten this. And this right slider creates highlights. The left slider is the shadows, and the middle slider is just that midtones, just like so. Okay. Say OK to that. Now I'm going to bring up some light right in the center here. I'm going to take the circle elliptical marquee tool. I'm going to hold down Shift and Alt and draw a perfect circle here. And I know you're probably totally confused by now, but play this a few times, and there isn't one right answer here. Now with the selection, I can lighten just the area inside, but I like to feather it so that it blends it in. So it's a gradual transition. So select feather. It's called Refine Edge now in CS3, right? And it gives you a visual dialog box, so you can see how I can smooth the edges like that. Okay, and I'll say OK to that. And now it's feathered, you can't see it. And I'm going back to my levels, Control L, or image adjustment levels, and lighten that up. And deselect. Excellent. Now, I think I'll stop the recording, so I'm going to hit the stop button. And look at all the various things that I did to create this image here. I could count them, but I bet you there's 40 things that I did, starting with crop at the top here. But it's recorded and in memory now. So let's go find a new picture and see what happens here. So back to Google. Images, let's see. Oh, sorry. Click images at the top here. And then how about bush? Search images. Could do a whole series of paintings of the president here. See full-size image, that's a reasonably good one here. Copy image. And come back to Photoshop. File new, Control N. OK to that. Control V to paste it. Control E to flatten it. Control J to copy that layer. Whoops, I don't want to do that, because guess what? We have an action. So let me hit the action button. And I'm going to click on Painting Machine. I don't even need to do that. All I need to do is hit F2, because I have a button for that. So I'm going to hit F2, and it's going to, let's see if this works. Hopefully it will. Yes. And it did all those steps, all 40 or 50 steps, all at once to create this painting. And as always, I want to make sure layer that it is flattened to one background and save it as a JPEG. Kind of cool. There's one last thing I could show you. Under brush strokes, there's dark outline, ink outlines. Under artistic, there's all these other things that you can play with. Okay, this is a vast sandbox full of the greatest toys for messing with images. Ink outlines right here, just to see for a second. But I would include that in the, that's cool. So I'll say OK to that. There are sliders on each of these filters too that you can, I'm going to undo that with a Control Z. You can test the before and after. If the effect is too strong, you play with the sliders. Alrighty, so create about, I don't know, 10 paintings. You just round up 10 images and hit F2 10 times and you've got them. Bing, bing, bing. Okay, I've gone on long enough, so see you in the next movie.